¿Aló?
Hello?
¿Cómo
Hello?
estás?
Can you hear me?
Sí. ¿Están
Yeah,
bien?
good.
¿Están bien? You good?
Oh, sorry, I'm back.
All right. Welcome back, dude. You were gone for like ever. How are you doing?
You good and doing well. Yeah,
Uh,
happy holiday.
wait. Hello?
Hello?
I think you got like mic activation or something because you're like popping in and out a
Um,
little bit.
yeah, I'm doing right. What about yourself?
Kind of shit because my audio is now fucked. Yesterday everything was fine, and then today I have to start becoming an audio engineer. So
Nice.
it kind of is one of the really annoying parts about streaming is that
Yeah, you got like OBS and everything like that
yeah,
too.
you never have it all figured out, and then when you do, you only have it figured out temporarily until something happens, and then you have to start refiguring it out. So yeah, keeps you engaged, I guess.
Yeah. That's the same thing when like whenever I buy something new that has like technology in it, it never works out as planned. Like whether it's a graphics card or
Mm-hmm.
something is always messed up.
Yeah, just have to. Well, just it keeps us learning, I guess.
Yeah, you got like 200 people in chat. Someone probably knows the answer though.
Yeah, hopefully, but this is a pretty new thing. Like the update was 3 days ago, so I'm not sure.
Uh,
Yeah, we'll figure something out. All
gotcha, gotcha.
right. So another arc. We had one recently.
Yeah, I saw that. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, yeah, like two before me for last week.
Yeah.
So
Are you kind of in a
hopefully this one's a little
similar?
different.
Yeah, I was thinking it. My mom was like, "Do you ever do group classes on things?" I'm like, "Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe that's something to think about. If there's like, I should
Just
do like a
take turns raising our hands.
yeah, something like that. Like some Dr. K style, where it's like, okay, today we're gonna have a class on flames, so you can ask anything you want about flames and stuff, and then
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. It was interesting because I like randomly won the progression.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know. I didn't really finish the last videos, but for me, I haven't played since I think I think the Celestial event. I was here for Rise, but then I quit until Awake came out.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just like figure out where to go.
For sure. Well, let's help you with that. What do you want to achieve with your character, and what have you achieved so far?
Um, since coming back from Awake, I got about like I would say 2K more in stats,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't really grind or like that often. So I've been looking to see. I don't really farm either. So I've been looking to see where I could put my mesos in to kind of, you know, get stronger.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully for maybe like hard Damien. I think I have enough stats for a struggle run or anything, but anything that
Mm-hmm.
helps me do more damage, I guess.
So, what level are you at, and what have you cleared so far, like party solo?
Solo I've got to Lomian, and party I remember doing normal lucid practice before I quit, and like I cleared it once through practice, but
Mm-hmm.
that's about it.
Okay. So normal lucid party in practice mode.
Yeah.
So are you like level like low 230s? Is that where you're at, or
243.
243? Okay, so you're a bit higher
Yeah,
than
yeah.
that. Okay, okay.
But like since I don't like
Alright.
farm enough mesos, I usually do like bosses and stuff because I hate Kana.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Usually I need to allocate my mesos a little bit more smartly. So most of my stuff is kind of like 16 stars ish. I would say
Mm-hmm.
like 90% of my stuff. So it's more a fact of like, do I aim for 3 lines for certain items or
Mm-hmm.
save for 5, 10, 15? Like which items to star
Mm-hmm.
and so forth like that.
Okay. Um, are there any like systems in the game that you're unfamiliar with, or you want to double check if you like fully
Mm,
understand everything?
Um, I think I have a grasp on flames. Like flame tiers, I always have to like Google just kind of like get. But I think my flames are alright, right? sort of.
I could look at those real quick. Well, most of these items don't have flames, so that's fast.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And like my
051.
rings are mostly events at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a very nice Sweetwater flame for sure.
That one I actually bought a random flame from the store and I just like YOLO'd it.
Yeah,
For fun.
well, it paid off.
Yeah.
It's a lot better than what people end up settling for. Most people end up with like 60 and 5 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know about the difference between the flame advantage and not, right?
Yes.
Okay, that didn't sound very convincing.
I think I do.
I think you do. You know
But
what, like, limitations?
I know like boss flames and whatnot. So
Yeah, that's basically it. Yeah, it's the same.
yeah.
But kind of stop using the terminology boss flames because some items will drop from bosses and will be in the boss accessory set, but will not have quote unquote boss flames. And since that could be a little bit, confusing to people, we started just using flame advantage or no flame advantage or flame disadvantage, I guess.
Gotcha.
100. This one's staying unique because it's 3 line. 6. And you're using 2 secondaries, 1 for boss and 1 for mobbing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was for the boss damage one. I was actually rolling for attack, but I landed on that, so I decided to just make a new one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because your boss and I guess your ID isn't like insanely out there, but your boss is already pretty high, right? Because Arc is, we've got so much of everything.
Yeah. The stat window, that one is with I think one familiar that has I think 30% boss and one familiar that has I believe 15 to 20% IED.
Oh yeah, because I don't see the familiars in here. What are the ones
Oh,
you
I
use?
I think I forgot to put it in.
Yeah. So 30
I
boss and a 20 IED? Or
yeah.
15?
Oh no. 30 IED and 30 boss and plus 7 crit rate.
Okay. That's what you use when you're bossing. And do you have because you played before, right? So do you have like the old healing familiar, like the snail and the spider? You have those guys?
No, I actually don't. The only time I farmed was when the whole like junior boogie craze was going on.
And you never got a spider familiar before that?
No, I did not.
Okay. So there are some gains to be made. So because when you're talking about not farming on a separate character, what we do want to look at is how can you maximize the money you make while you're playing your character, right? So that when you're training, you can still make decent rates, so that you don't have to either take years to make an upgrade or have to resort to doing something that you don't want to do, right? So we want to maximize your income while we're doing what we like. And doing only the necessary leveling, basically.
Yeah.
With that being said, okay. So that means that we're going to probably disproportionately get gains out of Legion and Links. Because you can get good rates there without having to go all the way to level 200 or like past 200, but just making a bunch of 140s, which is simple and pretty straightforward to do, right?
Yeah.
And then as long as you go in the general order of the links command, I don't know if you've seen that one. If you follow this general order, you will make all of your new characters that you create so much extra stronger that they'll level up faster and faster and faster. And then eventually the chore of making a Legion character will be done so quickly that it won't even be like a chore anymore. It's just like a thing you kind of do in passing.
Yeah.
It doesn't even feel like a whole lot of work anymore.
Yeah, Legion has been a little bit tough for me because I just like a little burnt out from like doing one totem on my main to like have to grind low level places again.
Yeah, and that's mainly if you plan it out so that you can move your links, move your Legion. Sometimes what will be good is to already move your links before the end of the day to another character, For example, well, because you're in, well, maybe that won't really work for you because you're in the US, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, kind of like find, now you're able to move the links twice a day, right? So try to find a time that makes sense to move the links over so that any other character you're doing something on, they're just strong as well. And then everything you do on them will just be faster, and then you can, you know, get along with the things that you want to do, and not be stuck on doing your chores, basically. Because you will see big gains coming from that, mainly in the department of critical damage, IED, boss damage, and critical rate, like those things. And then as your Legion grid grows, you'll also start divesting from the middle of the grid, from the attack and the strength, and more filling up the corners. Because right now, with how everything's calculated and stuff, having these points in IED, that's just one line of 8%, isn't as efficient as you could also have those pieces in boss damage instead, and then get 8 boss damage, which that's additive, of course, and you have a lot of percentage damage already. But since IED is multiplicative, one source of 8% doesn't really do that much for you until you're way further into the game, kind of.
Gotcha. So possibly like switch that out for like boss damage or something like that, just for like the minimum games, right?
Well, I would kind of keep your setting as this right now, but just like regularly make a new character. What I like to do is just make a new character. Usually I train it to level 100 and then just start running Zakum every day. And then after that, it just, besides that, I don't touch the character at all anymore. If you have the 7-day Monster Parker badge on your main, then you can also run Monster Parks on these characters. But otherwise, I would focus on keep on running Monster Park for the clears instead on your main.
Gotcha.
Are you? Do you already have it or no?
No, the badge I'm using, the Ursus badge. No, not a badge.
The medal. Yeah, sorry, I keep confusing them all the time as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're both stat-wise, they both don't add that much. But if you can get IED out of those slots, that's disproportionately very valuable. So that's a good thing to aim for.
What's the general like IED like visual do you need for like? I don't know, like maybe like hard lucid or.
Yeah, so visual is kind of hard to say because many classes have different amounts of sources, right? You have boost nodes, you can have boss debuffs, you can have hyper skills. So there's a lot of stuff going on there. So typically I go by the functional percentage. Do you know how to calculate that?
I think there was a link somewhere on your stream.
Yeah, if you check IED, there's a link to the calculator there, the second one.
Gotcha.
So you can put, it's not dragging. Here we go. You put all the sources in here, and then whatever is your functional will show up here. And then if you go here and check the weapon secondary emblem optimizer, and then you put it in there, then all you have to do is add your damage and your boss damage together without the potential, right? So all of these numbers have to be without the potential already on your weapon secondary and emblem. So if you have any, then you have to take it out of this one. But once you have everything in, it's very easy. You'd be like, just remove that one, boom, and then you have the number still. Gotcha. Our base attack is pretty low because it's probably just, what is it, just 4% from Echo probably during the bosses, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Maybe if you have a soul, it can go up to 7, but that's about it. And then you'll be able to see what combination. Typically for arcs, because we have so much percentage damage, typically it's going to be like 801 or 900 most of the time. That's like ideal, but a lot of them might be really close if you look at the percentages. And maybe you have like the 25th down the line or something, but if it's still really close to the top one, it will most likely not be worth re-rolling for it, because it'll end up costing way more than what the potential gains are, and spending that money on all your other equips instead might net you way more gains. But in order to see how much it would roughly cost, then you can use the cubing circulator to kind of like figure out. But if I remember, what was the potential on your, so you have 21 and then 9 strength, and then this one is the double one, and then what does the weapon have right now? Weapon 23. Yeah, as long as your Legion and Links are a little bit behind, then the only thing you can really benefit from would be IED somewhere. But eventually, when you're done, the IED isn't necessary anymore because we have the, we have the 20% in our skill, and then 20% in the boost node, and then once you get the like Explorer Mage, that's an extra 9%. Once your Legion fills out, that can be another block of 40%, and then the extra 20% from your Hyper skill, your passive. All of those things combined typically get your functional up to like 97 or something without needing a line on your IED, and you get another 20% during the amplification during your burst, right?
Yeah.
So with all of that included, and then because you do have the superior set completed, right?
I'm missing the pendant at the moment, but I only have like 10 Gauss coins because right before I quit, I blew up 2 sub belts.
Okay.
I was just like, fuck it.
Yeah.
I just recently bought back the belt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So...
Okay. Yeah, so once you get the pendant as well and that extra 30%, then you're pretty much set, and then you don't need IED. So right now you might be a little bit lower on IED, but I wouldn't advise to roll into IED anywhere because you will get those sources later on.
Gotcha. So yeah, it's like the minimal gains now because since most of my things are like 2-line strength, it's kind of hard to kind of like look at where specifically I should be like getting gains from. Of course, like from Legion and Links.
Yeah, so I will look at peripheral stuff first, and then we can go like specifically with how you play and how you plan on progressing and everything. We can see equip-wise what would be the next place to make your gains on.
Gotcha.
Because you got the 0 in there. You have a lot of the useful links. So what I would do is the characters that you already have and that you already have links of, I would try to get every single character you have at least up to 140.
Okay.
So if they're like 70 something now, I would just, sit down, just train them at least to 100, do Zakum, and then just leave them there, and then move over either to another character or just go back to your main. Do at least one character a day to get it to 100, and then every day after that, run Zakum, and then just do nothing but log in, run Zakum, and then either do another character or do more stuff on your main. But at least one character a day to make some gains on, and you'll see your Legion level just go up like crazy, because you still have like almost 20 characters, right, that you can add.
Yeah.
Like 16 more characters whose levels are not at all counted. So if those are all level 100 characters, that's 1600, you're at 5k Legion.
Yeah, that's true.
And then when you're at 5k Legion, you have 2 extra grids. You have, 5k. It's not going to give you any big blobs, but that's 1, 2, 3 level up. So that's 3 extra characters in there. And all the characters you have in there will probably, their pieces will get a little bit bigger as well, right? If you make sure you get it all to 140. And so at that point, what your setup will be like, hopefully like a flat line through the middle, basically. You probably won't need crit rate, so the easiest would be to connect ignore defense and boss damage with a line through the middle. The easiest to do is like mage and archer pieces. Those will be long flat pieces.
Okay.
And then from ignore defense, you go up into crit damage. You fill out crit damage. You fill out IED because that's what you're still going to be needing. And then whatever you have left over, you put in boss damage in that order.
Gotcha.
Because 100% crit rate is no problem at all for you, right?
Yeah, especially with amplifier, it goes up to 100%. I believe I don't have amplifier, it's about say like 70. I believe.
Amplifier should add 20, so you should be at least at 80 without.
Yeah.
We could look into, so you have level 9 crit rate. We'll look into the links a little bit to see if we can supplement. Because you do want to be at 100% without amplifier as well, so that you're training. If you're able to one-shot with a crit when you're training, but then when you hit a non-crit, the monsters don't die in one turn, that'll end up hurting you in your rates quite a bit. So we do want to make sure that we have 100% crit so we can rely on that kill speed to be constant.
True.
So one of the things that will happen is if you follow that path is that all of your link skills are all going to just gain a little bit, right? Is this your usual training setup?
I think that's my
your bossing setup, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I usually had the Adele link, but then I remember seeing one of your videos saying like not to use it if you're not in a party. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, if you're in a party, it's nice. It hits that 12%. Just like 12% seems to be kind of like the gold standard these days, right? Because it's like, oh, that's the stacked Kadena, the stacked Ilium. That's the and the Adele one. Like 12% seems to be a number that they're aiming for.
Yeah.
So if terms and conditions is only level 1, I don't know if it's worth throwing into everything because that's
Okay.
because it's not as much. That's not the first one to go though. I would say the first one to go is probably the Pirate Blessing one. I would definitely use. So there's a few link skills that work together that you can grow into to definitely increase your bossing damage, but you'll have to kind of move them at the same time, right? Like the Kadena one gives you extra damage if the monster is debuffed, but we don't debuff things.
Yeah.
So you need the Explorer Mage as well to debuff it, and then you can use both the Kadena and the Explorer Mages and the Explorer Thief at the same time to increase your damage by quite a bit. But you need to basically move all 3 of those at the same time. So before you have all 3, it's not really a good idea to switch. Let me actually open and zoom in a little bit on this. So the Light Wash will definitely go to level 2, right? As we slowly work on all of those things. Wild Rage will go up level 2, so that's already 5 ID, 5% damage going up. The Cygnus Blessing, if it's only level 2, I wouldn't consider using this at all. There's a bunch of other stuff that has more utility. And something, and that would already free up a slot for something like a Phantom or something, maybe a Bstimmer for extra critical rate and damage right now. Are you on your character?
Yeah, I am.
Do you know how much critical rate you have right now if you don't use any buffs at all? You're like you're 50, okay. Yeah, so 60 with decent sharp eyes, and then up to 80 with your regular bullet, and then up to 100 with your amplification. So we're looking for 20%, right? So a Phantom Link level 2 would be 15%.
Okay.
And the Bstimmer level 2 would be 7%, so that would get you there. So for now, I think we would want to have those 2 in there, just so you can always have 100% crit. And then, wait, is that with or without your familiar? Because you had a familiar with 7%, right?
Yeah, I'm 50 crit rate flat with no familiar.
Okay, yeah. So the familiar will make it so that we need to use only the Phantom.
Okay.
Because then the Bstimmer wouldn't be necessary. Okay, so we want to use as few slots as possible for for the link skills, right? We want to make sure that all of them are somewhat optimally used. Not, like we're going to throw it all in a calculator and do like the best of the best of the best, but we want to roughly approximate like what is your ideal situation so you don't have to constantly move all of them around. So Tide of Battle makes a lot of sense for mobbing, but for bossing, I like to not rely on it because it almost puts you in a situation where you feel like you have to move to keep the stacks up. And if you're not actively thinking about it, a lot of times it won't be active. And I would prefer to go... because if you purely look at the numbers, like, Tide of Battle goes up to 12, Elementalism only gives you 10. If I would choose between those 2 for bossing, I would always go for Elementalism. I'd rather always have 10% than have a risk of not having the 12 and only having 2 extra if I force myself to move around.
True. Especially if I die, right? Then it's like it takes a little bit to...
Yeah, and in some situations, like if you're in like Hard Lucid Part 2, she's going to be moving around, so there it's like no problem, or normal Lucid, right? There's no problem. But in Phase 1, a lot of times you don't want to be dashing all around the place. You just want to make minor adjustments when the golems land, but you don't want to have to like move all around. But Phase 1 is very important to get through very quickly because you want to get out of the golem minefield that is Phase 1 of Lucid. So then it'll like kind of counteract you. So the easier ones, if this is a bossing setup, the easier ones that I see that I would take off for now so that we have some room to work with would be the Cygnus Blessing, the Tide of Battle, and the Pirate Blessing. And then probably the Keen Edge, just to create some more space. The ones that will stay but that will level eventually, so the Angelic Buster will level, and then it'll get way more mileage out of it. The Light Wash will level, the Wild Rage will level. And then we will see. So for bossing, Well, so the switch of those three that goes in like in one fell swoop. I would definitely try to introduce the Phantom Link skill. Do you have a Phantom? Like what level?
No, I don't actually.
So Phantom is also a very, very powerful link to help you level up your Legion, because a lot of characters start out with very low critical rate, but every character has innate critical damage between 20 and 50% extra damage just for hitting a crit. But if your critical rate is very low, again, that'll make the reliable damage that the character puts out pretty low, and as a result, your leveling speed will be very low. Some people think in the beginning, oh, you want to just boost your experience gain, and that's very important. But if you can boost your kill speed first to be able to one-shot, that gives you way more experience than having to hit things 3 or 4 times. So increasing the experience again is nice, but you want to do that on top of giving yourself a lot of crit rate.
Yeah, I was always like putting like Phantom aside just because I kind of relied on the amplifier to just hit 100%. And then just,
it does have 50% uptime, which is really nice, but you want to have that. And in the beginning, it's not like the most important thing, because when it comes down to having to deal all your damage, you can get the 100% crit rate in, so it's not the worst thing. But when you're training, you want to be able to reliably go anywhere and always hit crits all the time, because as you go to higher level areas, you're gonna want to 2-shot and then eventually 1-shot with the spell bullets. And if those spell bullets hit a non-crit, there's no way you're 1-shotting with that, because the damage will just go so much lower. It doesn't just go to half the damage, it goes way below, because we have quite a bit of crit damage, right? So it hits only like somewhere between 30 and 50% of the regular damage, and yeah, then it's not going to one-shot, and then your rates are going to suffer from that. And since you already don't like training and grinding, we want to keep at least some kind of optimization there, so you don't have to do it way longer than you already don't really enjoy doing. I must say though, once I got to 250, training in the Labyrinth map was actually really fun for me on the Arc. Before that, I never really enjoyed training, but there's like a pretty solid rotation that you can do. It's kind of a popular map, so there are more people who train there, but it's a really solid rotation that will allow you to always have all of the buffs up, always keep all of the skills up, and it perfectly covers the whole rotation, and you almost cover all of the plats as well to loot just by going there. You only have to like move a little bit to the side in between, which you can do in the Flora form, right? When you're not dashing all through the map at breakneck speed during Spectre. So it kind of evens it out. And I really like training there, and you can still make decent rates there. But so we need to get the kill speed in order, which we're working on now. And then the second thing will be to work on your drop rate and your meso obtain, so that you can still kill at a decent pace and also make a decent amount of money at the same time, so you don't have to, like I said before, like either save forever and hope for some kind of event that'll rescue you, or have to resort to doing like kind of farming on another character, which you don't really want to do. So so if we take out, so for bossing, if you take out Hybrid Logic, switch it out with a Phantom. Have you already started burning on this session?
I have not. So I've just been like kind of on the edge of like whether or not I wanted to burn like a BT or a Phantom, or just like burn something that I wanted to play for fun. So
yeah,
but it seems like in this case I should be burning a Phantom just for like maybe not immediate gains, but for just future like easier.
Yeah, your arc will benefit from it now, but all your characters that you switch the link to will get a lot of damage boost from it immediately. It feels kind of weird, right? Because critical rate only gives you a rate of something in your stat window. It doesn't really make your damage range go up, but your effective damage will increase by a whole lot. And then some characters come into critical rate skills in second, third, fourth job or something, and then you can just drop the crit rate skill and switch it out for something else if you want to. But some characters will need it all the way up to 140 because they just have very low crit. Things like the Demon Avenger, for example, like for him, if you are going to be leveling that a little bit at least to get that link skill up, giving him more crit rate will be very helpful. The Angelic Buster doesn't have the best critical rate, but has a lot of critical damage, so can benefit very, very heavily from getting critical rate early on. Kana as well, but you already have the level 2 link, so so that's why that's a very useful one. Bstimmer Link, it kind of fills the same slot in the fact that it can give everyone critical rate and maybe and also a little bit crit damage, and could be one that you once you get a little bit more crit rate on your arc, that you can kind of downgrade to the Bstimmer, but you only downgrade in the realm of critical rate, but you actually upgrade because it also gives you 10% critical damage.
Yeah.
Once you come into a little bit more crit from other sources. And that will mainly be if you get super lucky with a familiar, or if you start leveling Marksman, Night Lord, and then your static crit rate from your Legion goes higher. I don't know where you are with those two.
Yeah. My Night Lord is like 130, I believe.
Mm-hmm. So that's 1% more to gain. And do you have a Marksman?
No, I don't have any archers. Well, besides the Pathfinder, but...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's for the Link skill, not the Legion buff, right? Yeah, so between... Yeah, so... Mm-hmm. So like a level 140 Marksman and finishing the Night Lord, that would be 4%, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely some sources that are still available. 10, 14, you're 20 short now, 6, 2 there. Yeah, we can work with that. All right, let's see. Yeah, so Rins is good for the ID now, which I think you do need. Another one that you can consider in the same realm as the Hoyoung, gives the same kind of buff. But again, like a Link skill that only gives 10 IED is not the most efficient use of a Link skill slot. So we do want to see that you use the Legion more to level up your grid instead, so that you can put characters in Legion in the grid to give you a bigger chunk of IED rather than use the Link skill slots for it. There you want to put more like the Kadena, the Explorer Mage, and the Explorer Thief, like those ones you want to put in there.
Okay.
And the last one we didn't talk about yet is the Resistance Link skill. Do you have any Resistance characters?
No, I don't.
Yeah, those are typically very weird characters to train for me always. They're kind of out there. All of them are very, all very, very unique. And some people like that, some people don't like that. But they are the Resistance Link skill. Do you know what it does?
I can't remember at the moment.
So for so they each go up to level 2, but they stack together for up to level 8 in one slot, and they give you as many seconds as the level of invincibility after you die.
Oh, okay.
So, like, let's say you died to HMAG because he's being annoying, and then you want to walk back. But, well, HMAG is maybe a bad example because of your level, but let's say you're dying to Lucid, right? And in the middle, because your golem landed on you, you have the 8 seconds of invincibility. What you could do is you could just Unstoppable Impulse up and down, and boom, you're fighting Lucid again. You don't take any damage walking all the way back. You can just ignore the golems and just jump over them. These are like the kind of things that it's very, very useful for, especially if you're trying to burst down Lucid. You're maybe not the primary golem clear, although you'll be pretty good golem clear, right? Because of Endless Dream, Endless Nightmare. We can hit very far on the side of Lucid and still hitting all the golems. And of course, Abyssal Recall is very, very powerful to just full map golem clear. But we want to be in the middle. We want to be attacking, because we're also pretty bursty, so if you die in your burst or something, you immediately want to go back and lose the minimal amount of DPS possible. So that skill, especially for the further level bosses, when you know you're going to be dying every now and then, just very, very useful. Later on, and like Will, if you want to switch your gear, you'll have 8 seconds of invincibility where you can switch some equips around if you want to switch into drop rate gear without needing to, immediately starting to get hit and knocked around again and then die 5 times just to switch 6 equips. Yeah. So it has a lot of utility later on. But yeah, what stays with you is like Fury Unleashed, Wild Rage as you level it up, Light Wash stays with you, Judgment stays with you. So typically Elementalism will get the boot, but that's only when you are basically have everything that you can choose from, and that's when the Explorer Mage is a little bit stronger, because if you max stack that, it gives you 9% damage and 9% IED. So then it'll get a little bit better than 10% damage by itself. But at that point, you're switching out almost half of the ones you already have, right? You're looking at maybe the Jet Link skill if you get a really nice roll on there, but that can be a little bit expensive, so that'll probably be further down the line. But yeah, just getting access to everything level 2, by just making the characters, eventually getting them up to 140. And yes, like I said, focus on the monster part clears on your main first to get the medal, and then once you have it there, you can either keep the Saturdays and Sundays there for the double experience coupons in the boxes, but use Monster Park as well to level up other characters, because it's a lot of experience on low level characters, 105 and up.
Okay. And Monster Park is viable for like up to what level do you say?
So yeah, so that's kind of tricky. But when it comes to experience, you get a decent amount of experience. So I started the Monster Park battle on my 200 Paladin, and I only did the Knight Stronghold, so that's like the level 150 or something, I think. Just for the speed runs, but by the time I was done, I was at 207 with him. So of course that took 11 weeks, so it's not like a crazy amount of experience or anything. But even just doing the fast ones, that still gives you a decent amount of experience. And now with my Adele, I'm doing the actual choo-choo one. I wouldn't advise to do the very far ones unless you're not really planning on training the character anyway. So if you have the time, because the further you go, it does get a lot slower. And then comparatively, you get more experience, but you don't really get more experience comparative to training instead. That's still more efficient experience-wise. So if you're not planning to train the character, you can just do the furthest and the furthest, and then the experience kind of stays relevant, I would say, almost until like level 230 or something. And then the Lacaline one is coming out with Neo, so that will probably be another big chunk of experience coming in. So I think my Adele is at 222 and gets about 8% a day, I think, from doing 7 choo-choos.
Oh, okay.
So that's 8% in like 15 minutes. That's not horrible.
Yeah. Anything's better than
nothing.
At 240 plus.
if you really don't want to. I was at LP1 the whole time. But back when I was on my Arc, I was on the I was using old Kishin, so it was like 100% uptime, so it wasn't reliant on the totems and everything. So that was a bit different. But it was the same respawn rate, right? Even though the respawn rate was technically nerfed, but then it was technically nerfed, but theoretically it wasn't because of the... I don't know if you saw the video when all of that changed with the totems and stuff.
I think I was around, but I don't think I was really active playing. So
because we had the Fury totems first, the red ones, and then now we have the wild totems, the blue ones.
Wow, that's like such a like relic of the past.
Yeah, they weren't there for very long, so people didn't really get used to them. But basically, what they did is they reduced the timer, but the timer rounds in the server to a certain closest value, and because of the percentage that they nerfed it by, they ended up rounding to the same value, so they didn't end up slowing the spawn at all down, actually. Even though the number went down, like theoretically it went down, but in practice it stayed the same, so...
Gotcha.
The only real nerf was the 50% uptime on Kishin.
Yeah. Wait, so how long would you say I should stay in LP1 till? Like until I could like one shot in the like Moonbridge map? Or
yeah, well, Celis is coming out soon as well, so that might be able to bridge you more from Arcana into Labyrinth. I stayed until 250, and then at 250 went to Labyrinth is what I did. But maybe like staying to 245 or something, then into Celis to 250, and then move on to Labyrinth. Because I kind of skipped Moonbridge completely, and I went straight into Labyrinth, because Labyrinth has a really, really good map that's fun to rotate in, and that one I found motivation to actually want to train longer periods of time, because it was just fun. Maybe a little bit more repetitive, but for me it's also fun because then I can pay a little bit more attention to my chat and also talk, and not be like super focused on I have to get this perfect rotation, because otherwise, I lose my rates or something. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, sorry, I mixed up Labyrinth and Moonbridge.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah. Okay, because it's like Tenebris area, and then first Moonbridge, then Labyrinth, then Limina. Yeah, the names in the beginning were kind of foreign to me as well. I would mix it up all the time. No biggie. So crit rate wise, that makes sense now, right? So yeah, I would advise probably burning the Phantom and getting it to 210, just to hit that 20 for now, so that you can just get all your crit rate you need from one spot. And then if you get more crit from other sources, move it down to a Bstimmer. But remember to make a Bstimmer. Yeah. Because it has a limited creation time. So at least have that. And then, just like all the other stuff, just slowly level it up to 100, and then just Zakum once a day. And maybe you don't want to level a new character because you're already doing like Zakum 4 or 5 characters a day. And then you just do that until they're all 140, and then you make a new character, As long as you have the 0 and the Bstimmer, you're not restricted by anything. So whatever you want to do.
Gotcha.
But yeah, do a little bit every day. Because you won't, and maybe do a little bit more if there's like a training event for low-level characters, or you can get easy experience coupons. And then if you feel like you did too much, then just do less. But find a balance between just doing absolutely nothing will just put way more stress on your main to perform there, and then you don't want to end up like disliking your main, because then that puts you in a shitty situation, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So, all right, I think we can. That takes care of link skills, right? And Legion in that. So yeah, I would just go by the general order of the command. So the experience ones are very important, and then basically crit rate and crit damage. As long as you have all of that covered, like that's a lot of work already. But if you have these covered, then every new character is start out so much stronger.
Yeah.
And then for bossing, that's when these all come in, basically. So mostly these classes, min-maxing on those, yeah. And then the resistance link, that one's very, very useful later on in the game.
It makes a lot of sense, actually. I never thought about it, since it takes like us like 10 seconds to proc our skills.
Oh yeah. If you need like a few skills, you need to double check. But a lot of bosses have effects that keep going on, or sometimes there's a tail end of an effect. You know, the poison fog of Magnus might still hit you. Maybe if you get unlucky, respawn in Vellum if something happens, and then you respawn into a tail, immediately die again. It's going to cost you freezers, but mostly it's just frustrating. And if you can save yourself that frustration, that's very useful, because you don't want to get like tilted, because if you get tilted you tend to make even more mistakes, and then you get even more tilted. So it saves you from that. All right, so how's the matrix going? Do you have any questions surrounding this?
So I have I guess my main skills like pretty much at like level 50 plus. So the thing was that right before I quit, for some reason, I thought Creeping Terror wasn't needed, so I deleted all my nodes that had Creeping Terror in it. So my Creeping Terror is at like level 1. Would you buy out that extra slot and put in a tri-node with Creeping Terror, or would you switch out one of my tri-nodes to include Creeping Terror?
Well, let me get a sense for where you're at. So if you look at your V matrix, like in the picture here, which node would you say is currently giving you the lowest value out of all of them?
Lowest, I would say, well, of course the holy symbol I usually switch out for combat order or grandis. Besides that, out of the tri nodes will probably be that level 21 on the second row.
But out of all the nodes, think of for each one, like what value does it give you, and then try to roughly compare them and see which one. So the holy symbol, you could switch it out, yeah. Is there another one that you think has a lot lower value than the rest, or do you think the rest is all relatively equal?
Well, I use loaded dice, I usually get the 20% damage. Is that like something I can opt out of?
No, because of the 20% damage, I would say that's a good one. Another thing that you could do, that some people opt into if they are in your situation and they are low on crit, would be to load the 4 and then you rely on that for the crit damage. And then when you're going to be bursting, load it into a 5 instead, something like that. That's a little bit more min-maxy, but that's something you could do. The answer I'm looking for is a decent advanced blessing.
Okay.
If you look at everything, that one is definitely taking up more room than it's worth right now. Either the extra boost nodes, or decent combat orders, or conversion overdrive, or the grandest blessing. All of those, I would say, have way more value than the decent advanced blessing. It's a static weapon attack, and that's nice, but the other ones will give you so much more damage in your burst than 20 attack ever would, that those values way outweigh the decent advanced blessing. So I would redo at least one of your nodes to include Creeping Terror, and then get an extra node that has Creeping Terror in it, and then whatever skill you end up rolling out of with your current one. like let's say that you find let's give an example, that you find Unstoppable Impulse with Abyssal Charge and Creeping Terror, for example, and then you find another one that has at least Creeping Terror and the blue charge in it, right? Something like that. And then the third, because you're probably missing one. Let's see, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh yeah, because you you can. Well, you have 4 boost nodes now, right? 4, 6, 12, 4, 3. Yeah, and we go for 5 because no, there would be an extra skill boosted only once. Wait, what am I missing here? We have 7 skills. There's another skill missing.
The Creeping Terror, right?
Yeah, but that's the same one. Wait, 1, 2. Oh, you don't have the Scarlet Drive at all.
Oh. But I always assumed that was more for like repositioning.
Exactly, yeah. So what people end up doing on the last node, so you would get Creeping Terror in one of the 4, and then the last one would have Creeping Terror, and then 1 Scarlet Drive, and then whichever one skill that you ended up switching out for Creeping Terror on the other node for. So that Scarlet Drive ends up being boosted at least once, but like you said, yeah, it's mainly for repositioning, so there's no need to double boost it. But yeah, and then I would put that boost node instead of Decent Fun's Blessing, and then ideally in a leveled up slot, maybe where the True Arachnid Reflection is now, because that one initially already probably one shots everything anyway because it's so damn strong. So to give the boost node more power, Endless Agonies together with Creeping Terror, Proxo. And with another skill, I think there's 3 skills in that one, I believe. Basically, all the big red guys are in the same one.
Okay.
Creeping Terror, Blissful Restraint as well. Yeah, Endless Agony. Yeah, so this is what I end up with.
Okay.
And then you have your 4 big guys, of course. So Grandis, when you start leveling that, really, really strong for your bursts. I wouldn't think about Overdrive until you have like more room. It's a really nice skill, but it really only starts coming in when you just have so much room you don't even know what to do with it. Conversion Overdrive can come into play later for mobbing. Do you know what it does exactly? Because it's kind of confusing, the description.
Yeah, wasn't it like kind of just like a burst in itself, but
yeah, it gives you percentage damage based on your percentage of MP you have. So in that it's a burst, but then also periodically it sets off explosions across the map, killing monsters. And then whenever an explosion triggers, it looks again at what your percentage of MP is, and then it readjusts the damage buff.
Okay.
So you can also use it as mobbing as a result, because it'll like explode weird places around the map, maybe places where you're not, and help you kill more monsters. And keep your damage up as well. So I tend to use it as one of the skills to kind of alternate between to empower my Flora form when I'm training. So let's say that when you're Inspector, you can kill everything super fast, so you don't use your Infinity spell. But then when you're in Flora form, you can use it to make sure that you shoot out way more of those basic spell bullets. And then if it is down and you end up being completely out of Spectre and you're in Flora again, and all that other stuff is down, then you can use Conversion Overdrive and training to kind of like fill the gap. Because I don't know for training, because for training you pretty much use the same setup, but I don't know how efficient the Eternally Hungry Beast is for training.
It's just fun, because if I'm in like CLP,
that's true.
I usually time it well to have a proc right as the next spawn rotation pops in.
Yeah, so you could do like 2 rotation clears too.
Yeah.
It would be something though if you're on the bigger maps where you're constantly moving around, like when you're in Labyrinth, you'll have more levels at that point, right? So maybe you won't even have to make the choice. But it would be interesting to see if that actually gives you eventually more kill speed than Conversion Overdrive, which creates like extra explosions around the map, and that lasts a longer time, of course, than just one big full map clear.
True. I always assumed Conversion Overdrive was kind of like the Magnus symbol, where it kind of hits an AoE like around you and not throughout the map. But that makes a lot more sense. That it, like,
Yeah, it tends to
hits throughout
chain
the
a little
map.
bit, like it kills some monsters and then like almost like a poison cloud kind of like spreads a little bit further away.
Gotcha.
The holy symbol you can always get rid of. I have Urda Nova, but honestly, I feel like using it just slows me down because we already have we have a skill that we can kill like the same AoE but move at the same time that has a 3-second cooldown, so or 6 or something. So why would we use that skill? It seems a little bit weird. But yeah, Overdrive later, Conversion Overdrive later. But the Goddess Blessing is really big burst, so if you're starting to boss more, we definitely look into investing in that one more. I don't know why I have the bind at level 7. I guess there are situations where our Blissful Restraint is a little bit bad because it saves up all the damage, right?
Yeah, I don't know why I had that. I think I just put all my copies in one, just kind of like leave it there just in case.
Yeah, I guess you ended up getting quite a few of those. Because level 7 is quite high, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do level up I do the same thing with the Sharp Eyes and the Speed Infusion, like level it if you get them, so that you can, because we have such a, I talked about it in the last session as well, right? We have such a complicated setup already, so you don't want to have your decent skills like go right in between your setup, because that's even more buttons to press.
Yeah.
What happens if you Blissful Restraint and hard lose it? Does it just not kill the lives? Basically, when you Blissful Restraint, it does the same as regular Bind, but it pauses all the damage until at the end, and then delivers all the damage in one go.
Yeah. I love using that, and people get so confused in boss fights.
It's like, oh, she's not dying, and then suddenly, like, the bar just like shoots the other way. Yeah. Yeah, like usually in Guild BQ, because the score goes up like a little bit because people are killing the monsters around. They're like, wait, where's the score? And then suddenly like you gain like 300 score, 400 score. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
it's pretty funny too, because a lot of people don't really party with arcs often. Like arcs aren't that common, I assume.
If you look at the player percentages, there's actually a decent percent, but I don't know if I guess they just solo a lot. I don't know.
Yeah. Like that, and then like the party buffs. No one knows that arcs have an actual party buff.
Yeah, and it's really pretty good and good uptime as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's actually a lot of classes that have buffs like that nobody really knows about. Like Dawn Warrior has a boss debuff that gives everyone elemental, more elemental damage basically. That works for everyone, but a lot of people don't know about that.
Yeah, but when was the last time you partied with a Dawn Warrior?
Yeah, well, yeah. At a certain point, people start playing the classes less, and then you just don't party with them as much.
Yeah. But yeah, that was actually what I was gonna talk to you about, was just like where to go with the skills and Legion. Because there's only so much you could do with like after 2 lines, right? Like 2 line potentials.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Does that make does it give you a more like a clear plan for the Matrix?
Yeah, it definitely does. Just because it's just like so many moving parts, because you take one thing out, you have to replace it somehow, somewhere. So.
And we have so many good link skills. So many good skill nodes for Arc.
Yeah. Yeah, just looking back, I don't even know why I have Advanced Blessing. I feel like it's because I've had it since I started.
Yeah, sometimes
so
you just need to, you need like someone with a fresh look, or you need to take a step back and be like, why is that there actually? And look at everything, and then when you compare everything, like, yeah, it just has way lower value. It's not like it does nothing, but compared to an extra boost node or a Goddess Blessing or even decent combat orders, like all of those would end up getting you more value.
Yeah. So with that in mind, I know the 5, 10, 15 is coming up.
Yeah.
So since grinding these legions don't really require mesos and whatnot, where would I use like the metals for when it
Um,
comes to just like building out like items and stuff?
yeah, I would definitely get your Abzo. Just everything that's 16, I'd probably push that to 17.
Mm-hmm.
How much money do you have right now?
I have like 1.5, 2
Mm-hmm.
bill.
And you do Ursus Maple Tour and some weekly crystals kind of income?
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then a little bit goes into your symbols.
Yeah, all my symbols literally hit me all at the same time.
Yeah, I see
It
you
hurts.
recently leveled 4 of them, probably like almost on the same day.
Yeah, I did actually.
The Chuchu, yeah, they're all like the same percentage almost, yeah. And
Mhm.
then Lakaline is soon, and then Asphera is coming in soon as well.
Yeah.
You're buying out the extra symbols from the bamboo shop as well, or are you using those for training coupons?
Yeah, I bought. Yeah, I use it for the symbols.
Mm. Because some people use those for like training extra characters as well, because it's an hour of 2x, right, for one bamboo.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That can be valuable as well. And since are you on the second scroll, or are you like up to speed with liberating it?
Yeah, yeah. I'm like pushing for that
Yep.
growth pot potion.
Mm-hmm. And then you'll have the Starforce scroll as well, right?
Yeah.
Are there any items that you have in mind to use that on?
Um, Probably. I know I don't have a Connor ring yet, so I'd probably just do that and then smack it on there.
Yep, that's what I was thinking too, going through everything. Because one of the other thing that we're going to look at is after you get everything to 17. So, you just save up now to make sure during the 5, 10, 15 you have the cash to do that and get as many items
Mm-hmm.
that are already 16 to 17 first, so you can get those big gains on those higher level items.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if you have some money left over after doing Abzo, see if you can get the Sweetwater Tattoo and the Monocle maybe up there.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be nice because those are, we're looking for the highest level items because they get the biggest gains past 15. So we want to prioritize those.
Yeah.
After that, so once, boost nodes is all like locked in, arcane power is on point. After that, and everything's at like 17, it's mainly going to be getting good drop rate gear that doesn't lose you too much damage, but that will allow
Mm-hmm.
you to still one shot so that you can just increase your utility in your rates without getting decreased kill potential. That's going to be important.
Yeah.
So that means getting backup accessories or moving into stronger damaging accessories and converting your existing accessories into drop rate or meso obtain.
Yeah. It's hard because since like event rings are so viable until your your other rings are Star Force to like 17 or 18, right?
Pretty much 17 is kind of where they start overtaking, and that's a big investment to make just to get a little bit of gains.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can make that little bit of gains on top of having the extra utility of 2 sets and increasing your rates, then that would be the way to go. Of course, if you have a bunch of rings, then you have way more outs. And in the beginning, since the rings are pretty close, the only thing that you're really looking for that's very important is to get, to not go like a line of drop and a line of meso on your superior ring or something. That would be like the one thing that you wouldn't want. But every other
Mm-hmm.
combination is still pretty good because, you can still wear your superior ring and then 3 event rings, and that wouldn't be that much lower than using your 17-star Kana treasure ring with damage, right? Like, let's say that one
Yeah.
gets a line of meso and 2 line of strength. Well, then fuck it, that's
Mhm.
your meso ring now. It's really when you're pushing like 19 and 20 and that kind of stuff that you need, you want full damage on the damage rings, you want full drop on the drop rings, and that's when it gets really important.
Mhm. Mhm.
So with that in mind, which pieces do you have? So you know about the 9 accessories, right? So you want the 9 lines, 5 meso, 4
Mhm.
drop typically. Which pieces? This is the full set you're using now, right? In the picture,
Yes.
and this is what you're using for both training and bossing.
For the for training, I actually switch out the Reboot Vengeful
Mm-hmm.
for the solid ring that has 20% drop rate. I switch out one of my pendants for just like a greed pendant, just for because why not?
Because the
Since
meso thing, yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Sorry,
and
the
then
item drop rate. My bad. Yeah.
yeah, and then I usually pop, my the Legion buffs and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But that's about it. I don't really have any meso / item obtain potentials.
Okay. All right, and you have another solid Golix that's unique, but we don't want to use that one also because we can't wear them both at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And you are low on coins. Are you able to do Helix?
Yeah.
Okay. Because we got those nice, big, full map covering, juicy skills, so that usually that helps out, right?
Yeah.
So you're working on that to get the superior pendant.
Mm-hmm.
How are you
And
looking
the
on?
pendant doesn't drop, right? You have to buy it.
Yeah, you have to buy it. Yeah, so they changed the drop from the pendant to the earrings. So the earrings can technically drop for backups, but the pendant are now purchased.
Okay.
Yeah. As well as the ring, but you already have that one, so no trouble. No trouble there, thank God. How are you on Dinero's backups? Are you able to buy backups for that?
Let me check. I have like 90.
Okay.
I only recently started because after I hit the flame for the Dom pendant, I got lucky and I got the transpose like the second day.
Okay, that's a good combination of luck there.
But yeah.
Yeah, so if we're only going up to 17 on all the accessories, then that's fine. The way it's kind of looking now with progression, and I don't know to which extent this is going to start applying for you, but with the higher ease of access into Arcane, kind of makes us not want to go too hard on Abzo, but instead go harder on all of your other equips that are not Abzo, so that you can move from Abzo into Arcane without moving out of things that you may have made insane investments into. So rather the accessories, rather the non-Abzo armors, all of those things, upgrading all of those eventually to like 20 or 21, so that when you move the Abzo into Arcane, it'll pretty quickly be an upgrade. So even at 17 Arcane, it'll already be like an upgrade and you can already switch over. And then you can decide from there, am I getting backups? Am I going to go harder first before I switch over? But you won't really lose any kind of your standing in the game with how strong your character needs to be. Even though you only have 17-star Abzo, especially with a character like Arc, you're definitely able to swing that because you have a very solid kit. As long as your Legion and your Links come in to support that, you'll have a lot of critical damage, critical rate, IED, boss damage. Those stats that are very, very important. If you hit the set bonus for superior, if you hit all those things that we talked about before, then you can get away with 17-star Abzo very far into the game, and you can definitely be doing hard aiming, hard lotus, hard lucid, hard will with the Abzo staying there. Okay. But it will require some more investment on the other pieces. So when it comes to Sweetwater stuff, you will eventually want to go past 17 and have backups. So getting the Commercy Voyages and the CPQ back on the list as dailies to start preparing for those booms, and they will come because these are items that are time gated on income for coins, so they're gonna blow up. Like that's just how the game works.
Yeah. I've been pretty unlucky with my 14-star rolls. Because who safeguards that, right?
Yeah, well, people who have no backups, hopefully.
Says the people that blow up everything. So.
Yeah. I remember back-to-back blowing up a Pencilier glove from 12 to 13. It's like, what is that, 0.6% or something? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, blow it up, transfer, blow it up. I was like, there's no way. Like, how does that even... Statistically, that's like such an anomaly, but
yeah.
So backups, right? So the Dineros I think will be important for backups. The reason I would go, because I don't know how far you went with your Zakum accessories. I don't know. I'm gonna hope that they're like epic something or.
I don't have any right at the moment.
Okay, well, that's even better. Because eventually you want to go for a second set of like a tattoo and of a monocle, so that if you roll those for drop but you end up with a lot of strength, you can just simply swap them over and then recube the other one. Because we don't have trade and all of that stuff, we want to be able to salvage as much as our value if we can. And those are the slots where you really want to be able to do that. A lot of other items, like you have no choice. You'll just, if you're on your emblem, like, what are you going to do, right? There's no other emblems if you roll... 3-line magic attack or something, or you roll like 2 lines of IED and a line of attack. Like that's really cool and all, but that's not what you need. So you're gonna have to roll over that, and that always sucks. So if you can avoid that, we try to go for that. So ring-wise, you have one solid, and then you could get the Kana treasure, so that gets you 6 good rings. Are there any other strong rings? Yeah, the other solid would be a little bit awkward. I guess if you reroll one of the ones you have now for drop rate, and then you can tier up the solid and go for damage on the solid. Because it's already unique, right? That way you can salvage some of the value. And it's already 16 as well. So if you go for a 17 solid, it won't be much of a downgrade at all.
Yeah.
So that would give us 7 rings, including the kind of treasure. Well, the only thing I can think of is the current event ring. Are you planning on getting that here or on another character?
Is it like additive? Like, do you have to have the base ring to level it up?
Yes,
or
yeah.
can you have?
It's one ring, yeah. And
Oh
it gets
shit!
upgraded.
I put on my 0.
Yeah, well, the 0 is gonna have the ring then.
Well.
Yeah, you have to use the it's like an upgrade scroll. So it
Okay. My Pepega brain thought it was like 4 free rings.
Yeah, they change it up a little bit every time. 2 events ago, it was like this one, like the Tenebris ring, and then the Glory was different, and then this one is like this again. So they kind of changed things up. I don't know if you saw the Neo shop, but the Neo shop is gonna have, I think, 5 ring vouchers that you can buy, and you can buy any of the either Tenebris or Glory or this ring, the Awake ring. You can buy 3 of any of those on any character in your account. 5 of those of any of those 3. So that's gonna make some new characters very, very happy.
Yeah.
So for now, we're looking for another 8. So either, well, you wouldn't get a reinforced ring for a while because you're just saving for the pendant. You can get a filler ring like a Silver Blossom or like a John's Treasure Hunter ring from NLC. Those are both pretty straightforward to get. That could round out the 8.
Oh, I also have a Cosmos ring.
Oh, if you already have a Cosmos, you can just use that one. Yeah, that'll be fine. That'll be fine. So that takes care of the rings. Earring wise, do you have like a reinforced earring or something lying around? Or maybe a Horntail earring or Hilla earring that was already upgraded a little bit before this?
Yeah, I have a reinforced earring just laying around.
So that could be our backup earring. And then pendant wise, you have one greed pendant, and then what's the other one you have? Do you have like, because ideally you want to get the superior pendant and then just reroll this one, right? But you're pretty low on coins, you said.
Yeah.
So that's at least like 3 weeks out. Well, I mean, if we're saving up for 5, 10, 15, and then we're working on accessories after that, we're looking at several weeks, maybe even a month, right, before you even really get into that project. So at that point, the superior pendant should be buyable, right?
Yeah.
And then re-rolling this one for Mazor drop would do it. And then I would do the greed pendant as the other one. That's a bigger drop in damage. But at that point, any kind of utility on the item itself is highly valuable because most of your damage comes from boost nodes and arcane power. So you're not as restricted in how high do the base stats of the item need to be. So I think then we have all the accessories. And I would say, yeah, so for your Iron Face, just, whichever ones have the most drop in Meso become that. Whichever ones get the most damage becomes the other function. For earrings, it makes sense as well, because you definitely want to have the set bonus for superior. Pendants make sense. And then for rings, I think they're all pretty much interchangeable. I would keep the superior for damage, but as far as all the other ones go, just make sure that the 2 solid ones don't end up both for drop. So like the damage set would be at least a superior and a solid, and then apart from that, it's just a pure mix and match. If you end up with a total of more than 5 lines of meso or more than 4 of drop, always re-roll the item first that does not also have a line of strength.
Okay.
So that you can end up with a full set that has 5 of meso, 4 of drop, and also as many pieces, preferably all of them, at least with 1 line of strength, because it really adds up over the 9 items, 9%, 9 times, 81%. That'll help you maintain some of that damage and compensate for that loss in either Star Force or, or Flames or whatever.
Gotcha.
And then with that, you should be very easily, it should be like approaching very easily get to 250. I think Celis will have some nice maps from what I saw. And then just mosey on into Labyrinth. being able to two-shot with the bullets in Labyrinth with all of this should be possible, but it is going to depend on your arcane power. One-shotting with it was possible for me, but that's because my Absol was like 20 and 21 later, and everything else was like approaching 20. So that's not going to be like nearly possible immediately when you go there. But I assume that the rates will still be quite a bit higher. But train in whatever map you enjoy the most. You know, like try a few different maps, like listen to some other arcs, see where they train, and just try them out, and then see which one. You know, if it's a little bit worse, but you enjoy it much more, then just stay there because you'll be able to do it longer. And since it's already not your favorite thing to do, don't torture yourself with a map that's this is the best map, but then you hate what you're doing every second. It's not gonna, you're not gonna get to the finish line, right? You're just gonna end up disliking what you're doing.
Yeah.
So shop around a little bit for that. Heart, don't worry about it all. All the other potentials seem pretty good. Nothing that has like a quick fix, very easy, big upgrade. The ones that are the closest to like an easy upgrade would be your eye and your face, but I assume in going for the other ones and switching around, you probably will roll into some 23% at least, and then switch over and then just roll over your 20% lines.
Gotcha.
That's also why I put them on a lower priority for your star forcing, because, you know, if you end up going for 17 on them, but then they end up being drop rate gear, then the value is lost again a little bit. So that's why they're lower priority for star forcing as well.
Gotcha.
Okay, I think I tied that back well enough. Just looking at your equip set now to see if there's anything missing. I mean, hopefully we got a Dark Lords of Darkness event. Then you can jump on that and finally stop doing U-Garden for those temporary totems.
Yeah.
That's always nice to have that care not be there anymore. Just to be able to get rid of that.
So some months it drops like in the first 5 minutes, and then some it takes like 30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then some you actually get an incense burner, and then it takes a month before, or like a few months before you even ever see one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had one guy go there one time, and he got like 2 incense burners before he got his first wooden horse. And I'm like, how do you even exist?
I don't even think I've ever seen.
It's like a unicorn or something. Oh yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's unfortunate because I made this character, I think, right after the Android event, so I could have been able to get the one droid. But
that sucks. Yeah.
But that quest was such a pain in the ass on the hero when I first started.
Yeah, there was definitely some tricks to it to make it a bit easier. Yeah, someone mentioned the Afterlands totems. You could do those. It's mainly just follow the guide and go through it. Apparently, it's not too bad. It takes a bit, but they are permanent totems, so that could be a temporary solution if you care enough. If that's content you want to check out, Afterlands. If you Google YouTube, or maybe I actually linked it in the comment. Afterlands. It's possible that I. Oh yeah, even there's a Reddit link there for the guide if you're interested.
Okay. I'll look into that.
See if there's anything else. What was the hat at? It was like Anvil 17 star, I think.
Yeah. 17.
56.5. Oh yeah, with the 2% all skill. Yeah. I mean that's obviously not very useful, but I mean it's the 21 that we want, of course. That's the more
There's
important.
There's so many trash potentials on TR
on hats.
It's like,
oh yeah. Hats have so many weird things on them. If you throw it into a calculator, like the average cost for the hat is so astronomical compared to almost every other piece of gear that's really like a very low priority. Are you aware of that? Like the general priority, if you would ever go for like 2.5 lines or 3 lines, what general priority you wanna follow there?
Oh no, I actually don't. I usually just aim for strength and that's it.
Yeah, but so what happens is that some items have way more what we call trash lines that just don't give you anything, and as a result, on average, it will cost you way more on some items than on some other ones. So generally, what is the cheapest is the badge, but you don't have a potential badge, so you can't use that one. And then the heart, so I would only do that if you have something like a one droid or a fairy heart. Those have the lowest amount of trash lines, so per cost, that would be the cheapest to get very high lines on. After that, it would be your accessories. So it would be the rings, the pendants, the eye face, and the earrings, basically. So that's already a lot to work on there. And then it's basically all the Absolab armors. The glove is, of course, a little bit separate there because you want to make sure that you go for crit damage above all else there, which you already have, so that's nice. And then it'd be like the belt, I think, like around the same as the Absolab stuff. And then it's the pants, and then the top, and then the hat, like, finally. They just have, yeah. I think the hat, like, the average cost for going 3 line is around double, I think, for an accessory, so you can almost get 2 for the price of 1 there. And if you're purely just trying to make percentage gains, then, you're more about that efficiency since you don't have all of those billions to throw around, so.
Yeah. Things would be so much easier if I had like 10 bills or something like that.
Yeah, well, hopefully once you get the accessories and all that stuff settled after the star forcing, you'll start seeing money way more, and you'll feel more efficiency with everything as well. So the other thing that we need to circle back on before that is also to try to get a drop rate familiar, right? But that's mostly going to be if you do decide to Moonbridge. Maybe there's a map there that's really fun for you, or you go to Labyrinth and beyond. Familiars drop there, so then you can start. And I don't know if you know about like the fusing and the leveling up, how all that works.
No, I don't actually.
I don't
think I've ever fused.
I do have a familiar guide. Basically, TLDR is if you have the same name familiars, you can throw them on top of each other, which is called fusing. And then once you hit the fuse bar that's max, you also need to level up the familiar by having it equipped while you kill monsters near your level, having it to the max level 5. And then you can attempt to rank it up. So you typically do that with a rare familiar to try to get it to epic. And if the epic line is nice, when you reveal it, then you can keep it and do another rare one. If it's shit, you can fuse it even further to unique and then reveal it. If that's shit, then you're shit out of luck. If that's nice, then that's great. If you fail the rank up, because that's also possible, then you keep your level, but you lose a percentage of you lose 50% of the fuse bar, so you have to throw other ones onto it again.
Okay, so it's kind of like rolling for potential.
Yeah, it's kind of, but we don't have cubes, so your only choice is to rank it up and then have one reveal, and then that's it.
Yeah. I'm looking at that too.
Yeah, the function of cubing, quote unquote, is called red familiar cards. So if those ever pop up, so if you have a unique one, I would always keep it, because if there's ever any kind of compensation or a temporary event that gives any red cards, then those you want to throw on a unique familiar if you have one of those with shit lines, because that will be the only chance of rerolling.
Gotcha.
Cooldown. Yeah, there is a line on your hat which is skill cooldown. If you do end up rolling on that, that is for most classes roughly equivalent to a stat line. So if way far down the line you're re-rolling, you've gotten your like double crit damage on your glove and everything, and you're working on your WSE and you're trying to min-max your hat potential. We're talking a little bit into the future now.
Yeah. Just a little bit.
Yeah, just a bit, yeah. And you end up rolling like this same potential, but with a line of -1 or -2 second cooldown on your hat. That would pretty much be the equivalent of what you're looking for as well. For some classes it's better, for some classes it's a little bit worse, but it gives damage to everyone because it works on 5th job skills, so it makes them all pop out a little bit faster. So as a result, your total DPS does get a boost.
Yeah. Gotcha. Well, there's a lot to work on. But it's actually really good to kind of streamline the ideas, since I didn't know where to go. So I just like grind.
Yeah, but it feels this amorphous blob of just spend time. But if you have some specific goals in some certain fields, some dailies that are just more important, and ones that you've been maybe neglecting a little bit, focusing a bit more on those. But just like reassess, if you've been playing for a week and the week doesn't feel good or something, try to like take a step back, see what you've been doing, and see what is maybe the thing that what are you doing the last every single day? What are you putting off as far as possible because you just don't want to do it? Then maybe see if you can drop it, and then see if that just makes your overall enjoyment for the game go up,
Damn, that's some pretty good life advice too.
Yeah. So but in life, usually those are things that you still have to do, so you can't just drop them.
Yeah.
But then for life, my advice would be like, see if there's like another friend or something that you can do this together with, or someone that's very good at it, and ask them for advice on how to, make it, maybe do it more easily. so that you don't have to look up to doing it, or maybe find a friend in IT who can automate it for you, because you know that they automate they automate like 80% of their work, and then they just sit at their desk pretending like they do work.
Yeah.
The good ones, at least, who are like undervalued.
For sure.
Yeah, so I think that covers most of it, if not all of it. So I'm thinking,
Yeah, I believe so.
went over familiars. Yeah, as always, if there's anything that you feel like you still want to read up on, I do have commands for pretty much everything. So if there's a video or something that can still help you out on certain bosses. I don't know if you're doing CPAP, for example, every week, or if that one's still a little bit too tricky.
Yeah, that one I think I've just like never got around to like learning it,
Mm-hmm.
but I should for the extra like missiles.
Yeah, and a chance for the Populatus mark is always nice. The drop rate was increased now with Awake, so hopefully you don't have to wait as long. Maybe only like 6 months instead of a year. So yay.
Yeah.
I do have a video up for that. That's getting good reviews for people who are really stuck on a CPAP boss fight, and then after watching that are very happy with our progress. We do have a new boss since Awake as well, called Akachi Mitsuhide. I don't know if you did any of that storyline.
Yeah, I didn't do the storyline, but I did the prequest for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's
I wasn't here for the event, I believe.
Oh yeah, the Asura War Rising, whatever. Yeah, yeah. Basically, you have to go through the whole thing again for the prequest if you already did it. It's a bit faster, thank God, but yeah, it's a lot of clicking. Yeah, so just those two bosses together, I think, are like 150 mil a week just for the crystals. If you can do those, that's a nice one to add into it. Yeah. Like 36 levels in hyperstat. We didn't really go over hyperstat, but at this point, you have pretty much all the important ones level 10, so every next level is going to be pretty expensive. That's probably something, once you get to 250 or something, you kind of like just full reset and see what you need. But yeah, try to get IED from all your sources so you don't have to roll for it. Set bonus. Yeah. Earrings. Yeah, earrings can stay unique for a while because you're rolling for 21 anyway, so you did good job there. Why spend money upgrading and tiering up if you're going to roll for the same stat anyway?
But it does bother me that's the only like non-green.
Yeah, that's a mental thing. That's just a mental thing you have to get over, yeah.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, that's it's like a thorn in their eye. It's like right there. It's like, why is this one yellow? I mean, the one next to it doesn't even have potential, so, compared to that. It's a good contrast. Yeah, if there's nothing else that you had a question about or that you can think of right now.
Yeah, if I ever have a question, I'll probably just pop in your chat. I usually have like a random question like every like other week or something like that.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, if it's a really big question and we can get to it, then just make sure you ask it on Discord so I can take a little bit more time. But yeah, if it's like just a quick random question, then yeah, chat is always available. I'll do my best to answer everything there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was pretty great because now I know. Since I've been on like the fence about my like burning, I didn't know what the hell it burned.
Yeah, I think Phantom will be the best value for you right now and for your account. So like a 2 birds and 1 stone kind of thing. Oh yeah, one thing I do mention with people, if you don't use the nodes, so you use your 5th job nodes to just level up to 210, but if you don't use the node stones that you get from leveling, do you know how to like craft node stones so that you can transfer them back?
Yeah.
Yeah. To advise people to do that, because that gets you like 50 plus nodes back that you can then throw back into your arc or into other characters that you're working on. If you're, if the Phantom is going to be to 210 anyway, and then never do anything again. Oh yeah, we also have for Phantom like some information on like which skills are good to steal. And a lot of people go for the I think Cardinal Bird. Yeah, those skills are all in there. Yeah. Phantom has gotten quite a bit better to train since they have access to the Pathfinder skill, so that seems to help a lot of people out. Okay, I guess then I can send you on your merry way.
Yeah. Thanks again.
Yeah, no problem. Well, congratulations that you won, and then you took full advantage of the situation. To all the people I messaged on YouTube, make sure you hit me up so we can set some appointments. I have appointments. I'm still booked up every day until next Wednesday, but then after that, I don't have any planned at the moment. But I still have a list of people that need to get there. So make sure you contact me so we can set up an appointment. I hope you had a good Christmas, and I wish you a happy New Year. Dude, I can't believe the year's already almost over. It's so weird.
Yeah. Yeah, you too.
20
Yeah, this account is basically like a COVID baby because
Yeah. Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
I've only been playing Maple Story since the pandemic hit.
You see so many characters running around with just like COVID in their name. It's so strange. Now I saw some vaccine IGNs running around. It's like,
Oh man, you don't even need that BTS head count. You just know.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you just see the IGN. You're like, oh, okay. Now the question if someone with vaccine in their name casts someone with COVID in their name, is it actually against the TOS or is it just karma? Yeah, I don't know.
All right, doing God's work. Then.
Yeah, they're just doing God's work at that point. You can't even be mad.
For sure. All right, thanks again, man.
Yeah, no problem, and happy holidays and all that stuff. Good luck.
Happy New Year's.
Yes, thank you. All right, bye.
Bye.
Amazing. All right, that was a good session, I think. I think a bunch of stuff that we were able to add a little bit more context and a little bit more nuance to the information. Links in Legion are, yeah. So this is my general advice. Like, if you don't like doing Links in Legion very much, just do a little bit every day. Just a little bit every day. Just get one new character, one new level character, and work on the Links in the Legion that will make all of your characters stronger first, rather than just your main. And what will happen is once you've reached that 3.5, 4K, every single new character that you log into is just going to get so much stronger. It's just going to start snowballing. And then after a while, every new character you make is going to be done in no time. And it's just going to be a formality rather than an actual chore. And then before you know it, you roll into 6K. And once you're 6K, you can you can do anything with that. Anything you want, really. You don't have to get 8K. Like 6K is a really nice goal. But once your main is past 250 and you've gotten the taste of Legion, you'll see where the gains possibly lie. You have a bunch of critical damage ones that can go, that can gain 2% critical damage, but the relative value will be a lot lower past 6K. So, but do aim for 6K. I think that's a really, really good one to aim for. All right, if you liked this session, you thought it was informative, I'm happy for you because that was the goal. And if you want one, check the description of the video. And we'll set up a meeting, and I'll do my best to help you out one-on-one, see what you like, see what you don't like, and see how I can help you get more efficiency out of your time playing the game without taking away your fun and possibly adding a little bit of fun. Thanks for watching. See ya. Oh, and happy holidays, and Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year.